Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Happy New Year! I am so excited. Today I'm going to set up January in my planners and journals. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, I have everything out here. This is super exciting. I have been planning and journaling in a similar way and sharing plan with me videos with you each month. But as I shift into the new year, my system's going to change a little bit. So I made myself a cheat sheet, which I have off camera, to try to make sure that I don't miss any spreads. But I do have 4 books to set up. I have my everyday carry, which honestly is very simple to do. There's not a lot to do in there. My take a note, which is my functional planner, my craft planner, and my journal. If you are not familiar with my lineup, I do have a separate video sharing my entire lineup and what my plan is for them and setting up my albums. I have some other videos on specific albums, so I will link that in the description box below if you want more information on any of these specific books. So I'm going to also put timestamps in the description box below if you want to just skip to a certain journal or planner and not watch the entire setup. But I'm going to start with my functional planners first, because those I think are going to be the quickest. In those, I'm setting up my monthly calendars essentially, and my future planning. In my craft planner, I set goals and trackers for the month. And then in my journal, I do a monthly vision board and monthly goals. So let's go ahead and dive in to my everyday carry. Okay, so I'm going to start with my functional planners. So I have my everyday carry, which I set up usually quite a bit in advance because I don't want, I need this to be available for me when I'm just walking around and living life. I carry this with me to see what I have coming up if I need to schedule an appointment, and I might schedule something well in advance. So I do have this all set up for that. For my take a note, this is my more functional planner that stays at home. So this one has just more detail and more broken out in here. I don't set this one up the entire year at a time. And this one I had done that, but I didn't do like the little decor stuff. I might start adding that in advance. I'm not sure yet, just because I do start planning ahead and I want to just be able to enjoy those spreads. But for this one, what I've been doing is planning 1 month in advance so that during the month of January, I have February set up. So as I get closer to January, I can look ahead and see kind of what I need to do and where I have time and space to fit things in. Because I'm shifting to the new year, I didn't want to set January up in my December video. So I am going to actually plan January and February in this video in my take a note. And then next month in my February plan with me, I will update my February to fill in trackers and that type of thing. And then I will set up March. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a mix of music and voiceover as I get these set up, because it will take me a little bit to do some of the stickers and titles and all of that. So if you watched any of my Plan With Me videos in 2025, you'll see that my process here is substantially similar to what I did last year. One of the main things that I changed was I added the title for the month with stamps. I'm using an alpha stamp from the Coffee Monster Co. I'm obsessed with this stamp set, and I used it in my everyday carry as well when I set up all of the months, and I probably will use it for every month in here as well as I set up those months. Last year I did those in handwriting, and I just like the clean look of the stamp. I filled in on the right hand column there. Those are what kits I'm going to be using for Project Life for that week. And I'd like to put that in my planner because sometimes I have to pick specific themes or something like that when I am living life. So I need to keep that in mind when selecting photos and capturing stories in my Take a Note. If you are unaware, I use my Take a Note as a functional planner, but I also use it for some basic memory keeping to write down what happened on each day. And I use that as reference when working on Project Life or any of my scrapbooking projects. In the left-hand column, I do my routine cleaning tracking, and that's the same every single month. I put all of the things in my house that I want to clean every month, and this is definitely an ideal goal. I don't necessarily get to everything every month, but I'm pretty good at it. And I have a zig dot marker. And what I do is write the date inside that zig dot marker when it was completed. So then I can look at this at a glance and see when the last time was that I cleaned anything. The bottom section there on the left is for January tasks, and I will add in some additional tasks there later. I'm using the Coffee Monster Co. kits. I use the Hobonichi Cousin ones. I'm not even sure if these are the ones that Helen recommends for the Take a Note, but I find they work really well. The only thing that you saw I really needed to modify were the week titles, and I just cropped them down to 1 inch using my paper trimmer, and they fit perfectly like that. I have the washi add-on to add across the bottom, and I used the small one on my everyday carry, and that came out really cute, so I'm super happy about that. And then I'm adding in the holidays and my work schedule. So the bottom row of each box, I have a gray highlight based on my work schedule. So essentially I have a full-time job. I work Monday through Friday. So if there's a day that I am not working, I am going to highlight that there with that gray. And that's going to let me know that I am not working that day. And then I write in on there why I'm not working. So if it's a holiday, if I have paid time off, if it's my past day. So I technically work 9 out of 10. So I do have a past day every other Friday. I put in the holiday stickers, and I realized when I did that I actually forgot to purchase the USA holidays. So I didn't have, I think it's President's Day. So I'm just going to purchase that, I purchased that in the sale that just happened a couple of days ago. So when that arrives, I will backdate it, but I will have it for ones in the future. I'm adding in additional stickers to highlight the various activities and things that are on my schedule. I'm trying to use these sketchy themed ones from Helen as much as possible. So for her kits for 2026, she did this new sketchy style, which I think is super cute. And I'm using it for a lot of the icons because I did pick up a lot of the icon add-ons, and I just like that style. But the only thing that doesn't match that are the holidays, which bothers me a little bit. I don't know if that bothers you. I wish that she had redone those in the sketchy style, but I understand why she didn't. And she did a lot of work. So I'm not complaining. They look fine. So then at the top here, I put 3 of the bullet dots, and those are on the monthly kit, and those are just solid color. But I realized after the fact that I did actually have some of the sketchy style bullet dots right there, and I probably could have used those instead. I might do that in future months. Those 3 dots are for my 3 primary focuses for the month, and I was just trying to think about what I wanted to do. The main thing I need to focus on in January is prepping and planning for vacation. You can see there on January 27th, we are leaving to go to Southeast Asia. I will fill in my flight information and hotel information on my calendar once I'm done sharing these on the internet, because I don't want to share that before my actual vacation. I then didn't really want to focus on much else, but I wanted to fill in those dots. So I put feel relaxed and caught up, because in January is really a time that I like to try to catch up on everything, get all of my 2025 projects squared away, get the house clean, and really get settled in my new routine. So that is the third bullet, was find rhythm in the new year. I'm switching up my journal and planner lineup. I have a whole video dedicated to that. So if you're interested, definitely check that one out. But that is where you can see kind of what I'm switching in 2026. So I'm going to be adjusting to that in January. Now I'm going to move on to setting up February. So this video is going to be a little bit longer than my future plan with me, is because I'm doing both months. Usually I just do like the next month in these plan with me videos so that I have it to look ahead. And then for the current month, I will just set my goals and do those columns on the side. But here I'm setting up both January and February from scratch because this is my new planner. Again, I'm trimming down these titles for the weeks, and I'm just going to use the same exact format that I did for January, except that I'm not going to do the stuff that I will set up in the beginning of, in my February plan with me, which are setting my focus for the month and doing that left hand column of tasks. I am selecting some mild liners for each month that coordinate with the colors of the kit. And I'm just basically using the Helen's colors to coordinate it. Fortunately, that yellow one didn't work very well inside the stamping there. I think maybe I needed to let it dry a bit. I also am noticing here that my gray is kind of running out of ink. I think I have a backup, so I'm going to have to swap that out. Again, here I'm putting my work schedule with gray. I'm taking a lot of time off because we're going on vacation, so that's why there's a lot of gray there. And then the row above that of color is travel. So in addition to doing my work schedule on that bottom level, or the bottom row, the second up row is for travel. And I will always put a highlight for that. And then inside there, I will write where I am. I'm adding the little geotags to designate when we're switching destinations. And I'm going to write those in. And again, I'm going to write in all my flight information once I'm done sharing this on the internet. I'm putting in the holidays, and I don't really have too much to add into February yet, other than our vacation. There's not a lot on the schedule. I do have a civil service exam. So again, I'm just using some of the little sketchy icons. I also need to put in my paydays, which I think I end up putting the wrong ones. I'm using the Hobonichi weeks ones, which are too small. And then I realized, no, those are supposed to go in my everyday carry. And then I pull over the cousin ones to add my paydays in with the little dollar symbols. And then I'm just going to add the washi tape and wrap this one up. Okay, so I'm moving on to my daily journal, and what I'm doing for my daily journal is a little bit different from what I did in 2025. So I'm using the daily planner from Sterling Ink, and I have an undated version, and I think that there is a dated version, but I'm using the undated, which still technically has the dates. It just doesn't have the year, so you could use it for any year. I am starting with a goals page, so this is new. So for 2025 and 2024, I used the Hobonichi Cousin, and each month in the daily pages had this half a page to start the month, and I had used that for my monthly vision board. However, now that I'm in this planner, there is that half a page. There's also a full page spread. So I'm going to use the full page spread to do my vision board, and I'm going to use the half a page to set goals for the month. I took a break from doing monthly goals in 2025, and in 2024, I think I did quarterly goals. I think I'm ready to get back to doing monthly goals. I think it helps keep me on track. I was just feeling very overwhelmed the past few years, but I think I'm ready to refocus and try to get more stuff done and just work on my personal goals. So to set my monthly goals, I'm flipping to my annual goals page, which I set up in my previous video. That was the same video that I did my 2026 vision board, and that one recently came out if you're interested in watching it. And so I'm flipping to that and pulling a few things from each category. First, I'm going to pick some stickers that match each category, and then I'm going to use the mild liners that match the colors from the Coffee Monster Co. kits for the month. that I had picked out when doing my monthly calendar. And you saw I added that extra piece of washi at the top. It was the perfect size that fit perfectly. So I'm super excited to do that for the rest of the year. And then I'm adding a little icon and a title for each of the 5 categories of my goals. And those are home, fun, creative, health, and self. And then what I'm going to do is just add a few things to each category. So for home, the main thing that we're working on is our master bath redo. So we are getting it painted in January, and that's already scheduled. And then we also have someone coming to hang a new shelf in there and a new mirror. And then I want to focus on getting some decor and just getting that room totally situated and done. For fun, we're going to Southeast Asia in February, and we're actually leaving January 28th, I believe. So I'm preparing for that vacation, and that is going to take a lot of my focus this month. For creative, I really want to start January off strong in all of my journals and planners and projects, and I really just want to focus on getting into my groove with my projects. For health, I want to get settled at work. I've really been struggling with work-life balance lately. I think because in this day and age when we're telecommuting and I do have a lot of flexibility in my job, it is hard for me to draw those lines because I do have just way too much work assigned to me. And I often want to just get it done, but then that means there's just more work assigned to me. So there really is no getting it done. And I need to just draw that line at the correct amount of hours. So I'm going to focus on that and also just catching up on tasks enough so I don't feel so stressful and behind at work. And then I really want to do yoga 13 times. So I'm trying to do yoga every other day, and I've been doing that for the past few months. And I really just want to make sure that I stick with that leading up to vacation. For myself, I want to journal every day. I want to read 2 fiction books, and I want to finish the Book of Alchemy, which is a nonfiction book that I started, I think in October. And yeah, so that was wrapping up my goals. Now I'm moving on to my vision board. And to do my vision board, I always start by flipping through magazines and cutting out words and phrases and letters and things that I might want to use in my vision board. I have said this in previous videos, but while I'm flipping through magazines, I'm not just looking for my specific vision board that I'm working on, but also things that I might want to use at other times. So right now I'm really focusing on pulling some letters. I cut this one out because J is a very hard to find letter. And so whenever I have a J, I will cut it out because I use a lot of J's and there aren't that many J's in words in magazines. I don't know. So I have, this is a Magnolia journal, and I think this was from last year, but for some reason I actually never went through it to cut stuff out, which the Magnolia journal is probably one of my favorites to cut stuff out. It is a little bit of a pricier magazine, but I do get it as a subscription, so I don't pay too much for it. And I just feel like there's a lot of sentiments and really good design in it. It's disappointing that it is quarterly and not monthly, but I feel like in today's world, getting physical magazines at all is a little bit difficult, and I wish that more people were interested in them rather than digital, because I just love the tangible, and being able to cut it out and use it in my projects is priceless to me. So anyways, I'm moving on to continuing this. You saw I got some more alphas out, and now I'm cutting out some words. I'm again picking things that I might want to use in the future. So like I picked out that beach and I put it to the side because I'm not going to a beach in January, but I will be in February. So that might be something that I want to use then. I cut out this room to grow because I think that that's really nice, but it is fairly large. So I'm not sure that I'm going to end up using it. I think that I actually don't end up using it. But this year, like I said, I do have a 2-page spread to do my vision board. Rather than the half a page or 1 page for last year, which I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be more time consuming for sure to put these together, but this is a practice I do every month, and I've done it every month for the past few years now. And although planning my new month usually takes a good couple of hours, it's really something that helps ground me and makes me just feel better. Like, I don't know, it just helps me mentally, physically. And so that's why I do it. So if you are thinking like, oh, I don't have time to do this, I guess it just boils down to whether or not it is something that you get value from. And if so, then maybe setting aside the time for it is worthwhile. I cut out the word space there because that was actually one of my one little words in the past. And I'm often finding those and still being drawn to them, even though it's not my current word. So if you didn't see my previous video, my one little word for 2026 is grace. And I did put that in my vision board for the year. I'm not going to put it in every vision board for each month, but it is something that I'm keeping in mind as I'm going through my goal setting and my just in general for the year. I don't know that I've talked about this before, but I do plan on kind of getting back to that project a little bit. I have done the one little word project. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that is something that's offered from Ali Edwards, and there is a class that goes along with it, and you create an album focused on your word. And it's something I have done in the past. I started in 2015 and I absolutely loved the project. It was something that I needed so much at that point in time in my life. And since then, I have kind of fallen off of it. I have always selected a word, but I haven't used the actual class or done the project every year the past few years. But this year I want to get back to it. I'm not going to make a dedicated album like I have in the past. Again, I just don't need another physical project to keep up with, but instead I'm going to incorporate it into my journaling and my monthly or my annual albums, which I will have a video coming soon, setting those up and sharing more about that. And also in my 5-year journal, which I will share more about probably in my January flip through. So if you are even if you're not new here, I have kind of shifted how I'm going to share in 2026 a little bit. And I do have a video coming later this week to give you kind of an update on my channel. But as a preview to that, I am going to be sharing, I think, an additional video each month that I haven't done in the past, which is going to be a monthly flip through of all of my journals and planners, except for my daily journal, because that will still continue being in its own separate video. But my thought with that is to share like my take a note and my other like everyday use, like my craft planner and stuff, but also just to keep me accountable, because some of my journals, like my commonplace book, I don't touch them every month. And I feel like if I'm filming these videos, it will encourage me to use them a bit more. So I will have something to report to you. And also I'm thinking that it will be a time for me to share how things are going in my 5-year journal. So if you saw my 2026 lineup, I talked a little bit about my 5-year journal, but I am starting a 5-year journal this year. And it is in the Hobonichi A5 journal. And for that, I am going to do it a little bit different than in the past. If you've been around a while, you know I did a 5-year journal in the past. And when I did that, I did it in an Archer and Olive notebook, and I kept it completely private. It was for private reflections and journaling. And now I've kind of changed my focus with it, and it is going to actually be something that I share online. I feel like there's not a lot of 5-year journal content out there. And I have a lot of ideas for how I want to use it and make it fun, and it's not just going to be like, this is what I did today. So stay tuned if you're interested in that, because I am going to be sharing that in my monthly flip through and probably sharing a little bit about kind of how it's worked for me and how I feel about it. So anyways, I'm still kind of going through clipping stuff out of magazines, but I will wrap that up whenever I feel like I have enough. And then I will start working on actually putting my vision board together.
So the first step for me in terms of creating my vision board, once I've finished cutting things out, is to select my background images. So I'm just going through my stack of images that I have here, and I actually kind of forgot that I have 2 pages to fill, which means I need 2 background images because one magazine page will not cover a 2-page spread in my album or my journal because I need an A5 size. So I originally went through everything and I'd kind of already settled on doing that one of like the sun shining into the bedroom, but then I realized I need a second one. So I went through again to come up with what I wanted to use for my second page. And I'm just thinking, like, what do I want for January? Now, January is kind of like winter still, so I was considering doing the snow, but I kind of don't want that. I kind of want something like, I don't know, I wanted calm, refreshing, bright. And so I'm just looking through everything and trying to decide what I wanted for my focus. You can see me putting a few to the left there that I considered, and I ended up going with this gingham one. And so what it is just kind of like some fabric swatches of like gingham and scissors, and I'm thinking I like that because I liked the colors a lot, and I just like the idea of like being crafty. The left side image that I'm going to use is like the sun shining in on this bed, and it just feels cozy and calm, which is kind of what I'm going for this month. And then the other side is going to be this like crafty, colorful side, which is a little bit of fun, a little bit of artsy, and just kind of the feel that I want for the month. And I really like that I get to pick 2 images now. It's going to help me kind of work through that backlog of images that I have cut out and decide kind of what I want to use in my journal. So it just gives me more space to play. So I crop these down and adhere them, 1 to each page. And I highly recommend, if you're new to making vision boards, to use a background image. But when selecting your background image, keep in mind that you're going to cover a lot of it up. So that's why I don't have anything that has like text on it or has very intricate details, because a lot of it is going to be covered. Then I add some washi tape right along the edge here of the spine, and that's just to prevent it from catching when you turn the page, because it will help the vision board just kind of stay nice and flat and not get messy when you are closing and opening your journal. The next step for me, I guess this is the third step, is to add my title. So I want to write the word January. And like I said, it's hard to find J's. So I just pulled out some letters from my alpha organizer here. And I will link in the description box below some suggested alpha organizers if you want one like this. The one that I got was a cheap pickup at Walmart years ago, but I do have a link to some that will also work.
I'm just going through and writing out the word January twice because one is going to be for my vision board and one is going to be for my calendar page, which I will flip to and do in a little bit. But I'm just trying to find some like colorful, bright ones that I wanted to use. So a lot of times I try to stick with a color scheme. But for this one, because I have that gingham that's all colorful, I really wanted it to just be bright and fun. And so that's what I'm going to do with the top one there. And I absolutely love this word January. Like, I love the alphas that I came up with. I love the ones that I'm using. I just think they're super cute. And what I'm doing now is I'm just putting some white washi as a base for it. Usually I will do just one strip, but I decided to kind of layer pieces and zigzag it a little bit just to make it a little bit more fun. And again, I really enjoyed how that came out. I really love the colors and the fonts that I selected. Now I'm going to move to my monthly spread, and this is for my monthly calendar. And these pages I use to do like an image a day, which is usually like a sticker or a magazine clipping, or maybe I might do some drawing this year. I'm not sure yet. But I have the completely blank ones because, like I said, this is an undated planner. So I need to add the numbers and I need to add the days of the week. I'm going to use some of my Cocoa Daisy stickers to add the days of the week. I have quite a backlog of these because I do get the Classic Cousin sticker kit and the stationery kit subscription, and both of those come with a few choices for the days of the week for planning purposes, and I don't use them that often because I do use dated planners, so it's already in there. So they're super cute though, so I like the ability to use them in here this year. I added the numbers with some stamps. I will link those in the description box below if you're interested. I just picked those up on Amazon, and then I added some washi at the bottom, and I'm moving back to my vision board. To create my vision board, I'm just going to go through all the words and phrases that I selected and kind of choose just what do I want to put on here. So I'm going through the ones that I cut out now first. You can see I pulled some of them to the side that I'm not going to use. Like, there were quite a few spring related ones in that in the Magnolia journal that I flipped through, and I want those for springtime, but January is not spring, and where I live, spring really doesn't come till like May. But I wanted to cut them out for in the future. So now I'm going through this little tray that I keep on my desk. And this is something I've been doing more recently, where I just keep this on my desk of things that I might use in my daily journal pages to try to encourage me to use a little bit more of these in journal pages. And so I pulled some out from there, and I kind of refreshed what was in there a little bit. I had done a full refresh of it when I did my annual vision board, so I didn't really do too much, but I think when I do these monthly plan with me's, I'm going to also do a refresh of what's in that little basket so that I can put things in there that I will use in the upcoming month on my daily pages. I'm pulling these larger phrases first because they're going to take up more space. So I'm going to use them kind of as anchors on the page and then build everything else around them. I really liked this A Season for Possibility, which I think fits January perfectly. And then that Wake Up with More Energy worked really well with that sunshine page and just kind of what I was going for this month. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through and add all of the phrases and words that I'm feeling for this month. I have some related to travel because that's coming up later in the month, but a lot of them are just about, just my various goals for the month. Sorry for the shaking camera. I was trying to get the adhesive off of my desk. I liked that one, said finding your place between rest and readying, and then kick off the new year on the right foot. I had that one in my bin for a little bit. So just going through and adding what feels right. Once I'm done adding words and phrases, I'm going to add a few colorful stickers and other little images just for fun to finish it off and wrap this one up. Okay, so the last book that I have to set up for January is my craft planner. And I just wanted to talk through a little bit because one of the things I'm going to do in my setup in here is set up my monthly. And I already did this. So this is a totally blank undated planner. So I needed to put something in here. So I got this kit from the Coffee Monster Co. And I can't remember what one it's called, but it's got like the dates in numbers, like in little bubbles, and the days of the week. So I added those. I stamped out the month. And then I usually put like my stats here. So this is going to be for my social media. So I put on here, once I have content scheduled, I will put it in here. And so I'm just going to fill that in during the month as I go. I'm thinking I might put some other stuff around here, but I haven't really figured out how I want to use that yet. In 2025 and in 2024, I was using these like December, or let's see, one that's done. Here's November. So I was putting like my stats over here, although I never filled it in, but it's mostly just to fill in my content. So I'm definitely going to do that again. I might want to put I'm thinking about putting more information down here or using this just for decoration, but I don't think I'm going to do anything today to set it up. I already did this as part of my planner setup for the new year because I was just kind of playing around with ideas, but I will probably set this up in my February plan with me. The only other thing I need to do is flip to the back here and do my next page, which is going to be my goals and my craft tracking. So I'm going to go back to putting on music and voiceover and get that put in here. Okay, so I am not doing this very differently from last year. In fact, it's pretty much the same. And because I'm in a new planner, I can actually look at my December craft plans on the right hand side. That's in my 2025 planner. So you can see really the main difference here is that because I'm not in the Hobonichi day free anymore, I don't have those quotes on the bottom of the page. So I have a little bit more space. And this month I didn't really use that because I was just kind of following what I did in the previous month. And I might adjust a bit more as I get used to the grid spacing and the number of grids and stuff that I have in this journal as opposed to in the Hobonichi Day Free that I've used for the past couple of years for this purpose. On the right-hand side, I do my product tracking. So if you are new here, just to give you an overview of what this is, I track all of the products that come in and go out of my craft room. And I know this sounds a little bit insane, but it really doesn't take that much time. Whenever I purchase something or a new kit gets delivered, I'm always going to open it and look through it anyway. So when I do that, I just write down in here what has come into my craft room. And then whenever I complete a project, I write it down on the left-hand side. You can see that header that says projects. I'm going to write the project there that's done. And then I will log on this side what products I used. And I find that this system really encourages me to use more of my products and buy less products. And I'm able to see realistically how much I'm actually using compared to what is coming into my craft room. One of my goals for 2026 is to use more than I acquire and actually reduce my stash. So I'm really going to focus on that in this year and really think twice before purchasing anything. For me, this is a little bit difficult because I am on a lot of creative teams. So I have a lot of products just sent to me. So I'm not actually purchasing them, which does kind of sway this a little bit because I do have a lot of products that come in, but I'm not actually spending money or selecting them, but I will try my best to use a lot so that I can kind of compensate for that. I will also track something is out if I donate it or toss it, which happens a decent amount. I have a donate bin, and basically if I put it in there, I track it as out, which gives me some incentive to kind of get rid of things that I know I'm never going to use. I do have a decent amount of stuff in there. And I was wondering about doing a giveaway. I'm not sure if anyone really wants it. It's stuff that I don't want to throw away because it is actually a good product, but it's just not my style or something I would use. So I don't know if you think that would be something that people would be interested in, let me know. And I was considering doing maybe like 2 giveaway boxes, one for more of a scrapbooker and one for more of a journal planner, and just tailoring the supplies to that. On the left-hand side, I do my goals, and I don't really have much in project goals this month because, like I've mentioned earlier in this video, I'm going to be traveling. So I really just want to start my new project strong and keep up with project life. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.